I'm Scott Schiller, and I make Jeep videos, and I'll tell you where to put that part and this part and all over parts all over to make your Jeep run good. Ah, ba, ba, and Jeep, ba, 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 ba. Schiller, go cut the grass.
Thank you, Mrs. Schiller, for that wonderful intro to the video. Two things. I already mowed the grass yesterday. Second thing, I do not go blah, 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 blah. I go there's a big difference there. Hello, Scott Schiller for Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts and Team G503 here on YouTube. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to mount the brackets on the front firewall there for your air cleaner assembly. It's kind of a simple video, not a big deal. There's only a few bolts that go on there, but the locations I'm going to show you and the tape measures just in case you're missing parts up in the front. Sometimes they are. Check it out. I think you'll like it. Let's start out by me showing you the actual locations. These bolt holes here would be for the right bracket, and these would be for the left. Notice the offset one up top kind of angled, and this round hole here for another accessory is a good place to start. I'm going to take my tape measure and measure from this lip on the inside here of the firewall, and the first hole is at 6 7/16, and down from the top as shown 1 1/8 inches. Now I'll measure this hole. It's at 4 1/8, and if you measure down from that same location at the top, it's 5 1/16. The last hole for the right bracket measures out from the side at 6.5 inches and down from the top lip at 6 7/16 inches. The measurements for the left bracket are a little more difficult because there's curvature and indent here in the firewall, but if you pull from that same location, you can either use a straight edge or eyeball it. The first hole is at 12 5/8, and down from the top, it would be exactly at 2 inches. And then the second hole after that, measuring again from the side, would be 15 7/8 inches, and then down from the top, the two bolts are in line, is 2 3/4 and at 8 inches. According to the U.S. tap and drill bolt size tables, a proper hole for the 5/16 bolts would be 17 64ths. According to the Master Parts Manual, the bolt size is 5/16, 24 by 5/8 of an inch. You need 6 of them. I don't have the originals, so I purchased some from a big box store, and I ground the markings off the head so it'll look a little more authentic, and you will need 6 lock washers and 6 coinciding nuts. Let's take a look at the right side bracket here. It's part number 640947, and right is designated as if you were sitting in the driver's seat, it would be to your right hand side. And I've also got the wing nuts on there as well. Let's take 3 of our 5/16 inch bolts, and we'll start with the top hole here in the bracket as shown and insert it into the firewall. And then you can reach underneath the underneath side. This was a little bit harder to get at, but it's not too awful bad. And insert that bottom hole. That'll help you keep that bracket in place until you get behind there into the glove box and install the lock washers and the nuts. Hold the bracket on the front side here so it doesn't fall off. We've got our lock washers and our nuts. And again, these are in the inside of the glove boxes where these 3 bolts penetrate. And I'll show you at the end of the video exactly where they go. Let's just get everything all hand tight up for now. We can tighten it with a wrench and a socket later. Let's take a look now at the left mounting bracket. The part number is 640948. It's a little bit larger than the other one. And notice this bar at the top here and this little hole. That's going to be important in a later video. And again, I've got my wing nuts here installed already. And we'll talk about those washers later as well. This is going to be oriented just like this onto the firewall, where this cutout right here is going to coincide with that large hole. And we'll talk about that in a later video too. This little bolt right here is kind of difficult to get in the bracket. It goes right behind there where that bar is. Install that first, and then you can install the bracket onto the firewall. And I'll show you the location right here. Again, remember that one we showed in the beginning where it was a little offset. You're going to need to put a lock washer and then a nut on here because this bracket is a little bit heavier than the first one and will fall off if you don't. After we've got that first one installed, the first bolt, we'll go down here to the bottom and we'll line those holes up and we'll install a second bolt here in the bottom, and then we'll do the last one at the top, and then we can go inside the firewall and install the lock washers and the nuts. For that last bolt on that offset hole of that bracket, I've got this very special EC marked bolt I've been saving. I'm going to put it right there just so when I open up the hood, even though I had to buy some of the bolts from the big box store, I'll be able to see that EC right there at the top near my Oaks air cleaner. I get a big kick out of the bolts, as I'm sure many of you do. So we'll go ahead and insert that last one, and then I'm going to go on the inside and install my lock washers first and then the nuts. Everything just needs to be hand tight to begin with, and then we can go back through with a wrench, a 1/2-inch wrench and a 1/2-inch socket and driver, and then we can tighten everything down. I'll use the wrench on the outside, and on the right bracket you'll have to go through the glove box on this side, and the left bracket will be behind the firewall. At the end of the video, I'll show you again where those locations of the fasteners are on the back side. But for now, we've got everything all tightened up and fastened in. And I'm going to go ahead and prime and paint my bolts with Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts Paint and Primer in the rattle cans. The Barrier Guard 3 is a fantastic primer. And look forward in the future to seeing a video exactly specifically for this product. It's one of my favorites. If you've been watching the Team G503 videos, all the bolt-ons, I'm still on my first rattle can here for all the spraying I've done with the primer. Next, I'll go ahead and I'll give it a couple of light top coats with the 33070 low luster olive drab from Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts. And again, this paint in the rattle can matches perfectly the 2 coats that I sprayed on the top of the tub before I started putting all these bolt-ons on that came out of the gallon cans available at RFJP. So the color consistency is fantastic. We're inside of the tub here on the firewall, and you can see the location of the lock washers and the nuts. This would be for the left bracket, and this would be for the right bracket inside the glove box. Okay, we're one step closer to getting all the bolt-ons on, so we can go back around one last time, scuff everything up, and shoot it down one last time. But this is where your Oaks Air Filter would bolt on to the front side of the tub, and it's all set. And the left and the right brackets for your air cleaner assembly are now on the firewall. I'm doing a lot of videos lately about the bolt-ons and the add-ons on the tub, and I know this is kind of going on, but when we started this project out, it was to be the 1943 Willys MB restoration, bolt by bolt, piece by piece. And I thought, this is kind of silly to make a video about the brackets on there. However, a lot of times when you've got these old tubs, they're rusted out, they've been modified, they've been changed, and I get a lot of positive feedback lately about pulling these measurements, these tape measurements, and giving bolt sizes and locations is a visual for people to see where their accessories actually bolt on. And that is really cool. And I never would have thought in a million years that that would be so helpful to folks, and I'm proud to be a part of it. If you'd like to follow along what we're doing on 1943 Willys MB, you can do so by clicking that subscribe button down there and clicking that bell, and that will give you the notification on the next time we release a video. This is pretty exciting. It's a lot of work. And thanks for the intro, Mrs. Schiller. I guess I have to go fix a leaky toilet now. But until then, how do we say it at the end? Until next time, keep it safe. Happy Jeeping. Thanks for watching, y'all.